Good evening, everyone. System Shock here with, I think we're on the well, we had an introduction, so I guess technically this would be the third episode of The Priest. This is the story of Harold Davidson. So we've got a few things that we've accomplished here. We've got all of our verbs. We've got a pretty decent little rotation as far as doing sermons on certain topics and generating money. We've also got a stack of books which we haven't read yet. So in general, we're in a good place. I'm trying to remember if there is an ambition. I'm pretty sure there is for this one, but it's proved elusive for now. I'm thinking we'll probably have an idea when we see sort of the next season of ambitions that comes up. For now, really, I'm just getting some people that I will eventually be able to recruit into the cult. We are on the lookout for edgelore. I guess I could also go back to the wood now that I've got some passion to just get some more secret histories and such. So let's do that. Actually, I don't see any reason for me to use my dream slot. And nothing happens when you lose your worshipper, so that's good. I found something noteworthy, the Viennese Conundra. I'll get back to reading the texts just before I read the book proper. Right, my desires grow in number. It may be that they will always outpace my actions. So we do have 25 seconds before the next glimmering. So what I think I'm going to do here, it's a little bit of a reach, but I'm going to try. So we're going to take passion we'll read sentimental literature. So if I propose to learn anything, I wouldn't be reading this stuff. I am going to be going for that third level of, that third lesson learned. So what I'm getting here is another glimmering. Combining those two together will get me a lesson learned. And what I'm going to do to preserve the glimmering is paint with this current glimmering. I say glimmering too many times. Basically, we'll preserve this one through painting. We may get some glimmering through painting anyway. We certainly have lots of reputation. We may get a little bit of money for it as well. But in the meantime, we at least know we're going to get the one lesson learned. And if I'm lucky, the painting will wind up generating a little bit more as well. We're definitely not in a position where we can start going on expeditions, but I do want to at least keep the possibility open. Season of Suspicion coming up, so I need to be careful about the notoriety. I think the fact of the matter is we're going to get hit by it no matter what, so I might as well paint with both. And then I'm just going to keep talking about lore to generate more and more mystique to hopefully drown the Suppression Bureau when they find it. But, I mean, at this point here, I'm pretty sure we were going to wind up with an investigator no matter what. Tonight they listen, but they do not hear. If you use reason with more reasoned doctrines, or passion with more passionate lore, you are more likely to create fervor. The deeper the lore, the greater the chance of exaltation. Okay, so I'm going to try... Actually, you know what? My reason's already spoken for, and I did say I was going to paint, so let's grab... we'll keep the freshly expiring stuff, I guess. You never know, this may be a living. So 30 seconds of glimmering, we should be fine. I don't think there's anything to explore right now. I mean, I guess I could send a unit out to check it out, but it's not the most important thing I can be doing right now. Really, at this point, I'm just trying to make the most of the resources I currently have. The longer I can hold off the Suppression Bureau, the better, but I do eventually need to accept that there's going to be an investigator at one point or another. Now, this wouldn't be terrible. Buzzing in the brain is going to give me restlessness, which I could use to paint. I do also know restlessness comes up specifically in The Priest. But we're not quite ready for that yet. So for the time being, let's try the Temple of the Wheel. And we've got another furtive truth. Detail smuggled in from an adjacent narrative. Don't speak where you may be overheard. In my sleep I came to the high jagged rock, which is called the Temple of the Wheel, though the hour called Wheel is long extinct. Another hand had scratched a secret in the black lantern on its flank. I burned that secret into my memory to preserve for waking, before the velvet came out of the velvet wood depths and erased it. The velvet is jealous of her secrets. So that's 2 furtive truths for me. Street Strange by Moonlight, if I want to give that a try. What do I want to do with Explore? Let's wait to see what the financial situation is before we go back to Moreland. So let's get Enid to do another Another investigation. I do have passion if I want to go back to the woods. I've passed the time, I have been inclined to tears, and afterwards inclined to laughter. Meanwhile, the world continues. So I want to keep the study verb open so that I can use the glimmering when the time comes. I think for now, let's take advantage of traveling at night. The annotated dream journals of Christopher Alopoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist. Literate, entertaining, bewildering. This is the second volume. There is an extensive discussion of the similarities between Alopoli's own dreams and those of Emperor Elgabalus, who Alopoli regards as a dupe or avatar of the sun in rags. The white is west of the world, Alopoli remarks, and winter does not wait forever. Okay, probably Street Strange by Moonlight again. And I do want to try and keep the Season of Ambitions in mind just to see whether or not it picks up anything else. And I will get a patron if the reason... Yeah, the reason will become available. Okay, so there's that glimmering I wanted. We've got some extra mystique. Oh, nice, 2 glimmerings. So we're only going to be 1 away from that. Huh. It's not going to be easy, but it may still turn out. How's my exposure? Okay, we're doing okay. So first thing I want to do... No! What was I thinking? Okay, that's fine. I can still preserve it. We'll do the same trick as before. I got it wrong. For some reason I thought I needed the dream slot. And we definitely can afford to be going through the woods, so... Once again, we'll spend money on the paints. This trick isn't going to work forever, but... There's always someone who doesn't understand, or who understands too well. This troublemaker may seek evidence on my activities to share with the authorities. So, we've started with the weary detective. And we can learn from each other. Alright, Madame Bichet. So let's put Madame Bichet above the weary... you know what? We'll do it like that. For the time being, I think more mystique to drown out the notoriety we're going to be hanging on to is what we want. And then we can go exploring for a little bit. Alright. Elgabalus found his way to the White Door at last, Elgabalus found his way to the White Door at last. Thankfully, speech can't pass the White Door, and honestly, Elgabalus never had anything very interesting to say. I tried to follow in his footsteps, but I never learnt enough of the White. I suppose I'm thankful for that too, but here's what I do know. So we've now got the Sexton's Secret. There's another glimmering for me to work with. Now this kind of complicates things for me. I would like to try and take advantage of this erudition. Okay, so yeah, I need to deal with this glimmering first. I don't think I have the time. Okay, we're going to hang on to these. I think I'm just going to have to accept that I'm going to have to eat the erudition, probably. We'll leave the study verb open for now. Okay. It's kind of important for me to keep a proper eye on this. So, obsessions, they are looking for 3 resentment, maverick, 3 marks of delight. Right. Forms of change, marks of shaping, mentor, marks of light, claws of memory. Okay, still not using the hireling. There's a glimmering, more mystique. Lots of money off of that, but I am generating some staleness now, so I'll probably want to take advantage of passion. Honestly, though, that was a good day's work. Okay, so first things first, double up this glimmering. Next, I I suppose I can do the same trick in terms of keeping the erudition. I do want to get more glimmering at some point, but we can get glimmering through painting, so let's do as close to a pure passion painting as we can get away with. I might as well use some notoriety if I can. And this time, I'm going to preserve the erudition. So we've sort of abandoned doing the sermons, but we've been doing it to sort of focus on our abilities, so I'm not as upset by that. Temptations, the fire needs feeding. So desire, my ultimate aim, there will be a price. We haven't quite hit the level. Oop. I can use the restlessness next time, so I should be fine. We will spend up on the colors of the night, although this is a less likely one to generate money. And we'll grab the occult scrap just because I do still need all the points for the expedition. So I walked in the wood last night, and the scissors worked in the distance, and furred things crammed my mouth and swarmed my ears, and I felt the old urge to drop to wolf fours and nose among the roots. But I remember that I walk upright by day, and I know fire and steel and words, and at last I found where the velvet had concealed a secret on tree bark beneath moss. I read it then with the tips of my fingers, and I think now that I could write it in full. So one sort of nice thing about, you know, trying to do a broadcast of Cultist Simulator in this particular phase is right now it's very hard to find things that you would consider to be just outright bad or wasteful moves. You know, we need to improve our health, we need to improve our reason, we need to improve our passion, we need to find any given location. So there can be a certain ordering of things. In some situations, you may find it beneficial to focus a little bit more on one action over another. But it's, you know, unlike, say, when you've already explored all of the, you know, all of the vaults in one particular spot, here, really any action we take can potentially generate something that's useful to us. Okay, so we are going to have to deal with some notoriety. This is actually going to potentially be tough to deal with. We do have a lot of mystique, so we do have that going for us, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to turn out. I have a little over 2 minutes before we're in the clear. Okay, we did get one glimmering out of that, which is nice. So 2.4 seconds. I do want to get rid of the restlessness right away. How are we for staleness? We're good there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm always going to use this notoriety. So I am putting myself a little bit at risk in the sense that I'm minimizing the number of mystique that are defending, like kind of keeping the Suppression Bureau at bay. But as long as there's one notoriety on the desk, I'm in trouble. So I might as well profit off of the existing notoriety here. We'll throw the restlessness in to be able to clear out the consequences. And let's send Enid out to find... I think we're just going to keep getting Street Strange by moonlight, but doesn't hurt to give it a shot. So, Tigers of Wrath are wiser than the horses of instruction. If I spend time studying what I've learnt, I could work towards increasing my passion. So we really just need one more glimmering, which we may get from this painting, and we should be able to get another level of passion. Although again, I'm sort of taking the risk that my erudition's going to pass by without being used. Okay, as always, we'll spend on the colors of the night. It's always a risk, but it's generally worked out for us. Don't have the passion right now, so... but I don't have a problem spending it now. Okay. One more of those, we should be okay with the notoriety. Hey, that's another erudition. That's going to help us. We can learn from each other. Okay, Poppy. So I suppose if we need money, we've got the option there. I'm going to continue to talk about my occult scraps because that's a good way of getting new followers as well as generating mystique. Fulfilling commissions is another way to help with the mystique, but I'm a little conscious of the fact that I'm short on lore. Okay. So I've got the glimmering if I need it. The real question's going to be whether or not I can So now I've got a little bit of a delicate balancing act, right? I've got Glimmering, which I'm combining. I'm going to get an Erudition, which I want to combine for the reason. There's going to be a few different priorities that are pulling me in different directions. I think we should be able to manage it, though. Okay. So I want this one to decay still. I am going to do another painting. So for that, we'll take the... So this one I want to go down by about a minute. Yeah, I'll do a full reputation-based one. Again, there's always a risk, but we will use the Erudition as the inspiration. That's because I'm going to double up the Glimmering when I can. Alright, there are more windows in my soul, but sunlight is not the only thing that passes through a window. And finally, we'll combine the Glimmering. So again, the Erudition is going to be in the cold, but we are going to be able to... So the Erudition is going to last a little bit longer than it seems, simply because like you could have an Erudition which is at like 0.5 seconds left, and it doesn't matter as long as you can combine it with another Erudition and turn it into a lesson learned. So I've definitely got a track record of messing with my study verb at the wrong times, but we should be fine. While I wait on that, I'm going to use Moreland's Shop, and we'll buy another book. It takes time to sort the gold from the dross, the wheat from the chaff, the blood from the water. If I buy enough books, I'll find something interesting. Now, you may be asking, it's like, well, you've already got a collection of essays, so why are you working towards getting lesson learned? The real reason for this is that it's not that hard to get 2 lessons learned. It can be quite difficult to get 4 lessons learned. And so generally I like to save up my essays and collections of poetry for the really challenging opportunities. So I'm definitely not picking up a peculiar rumor here because we don't have a good way of dealing with evidence, and so I want to try and avoid generating notoriety as much as possible. We are, however, going to try the well because if I recall correctly, we did get a secret history. All right, so it didn't work out here. Every sense is heightened, every sensation deepened. The well in the wood is never dry, but it is never clear. One night it might heave with crawling roots, on another it will pulse with bright moss. On nights of the full moon its waters are choked with the fat dappled bodies of moths. Last night I saw it brimming with dark and viscous blood. Gelatinous shreds drifted on its surface, clots of grail matter. So I have an awareness of appetite, and we will go back to the wood, I think. Do we have anything coming up? Season of Ambitions, but we currently don't need to worry about that. So yeah, to the wood with us. Certainly we don't have anything to go further into the manses, so we'll work with what we've been given. Or earned. Right, my recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. So there's my 2 Erudition. Here's another Glimmering. A Mystique. Okay, so rather severely overexposed. Now, there is a question as to whether or not I want to try painting again. In this case, I think the answer is no. Oop. The Locksmith's Dream, Light Through the Keyhole, the first volume of Teresa Gallmer's examination of the parallels amidst the mystic dreams of artisans. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to wait the 20 seconds for the last lesson learnt. We've got these Erudition, we've got about a little under 2 minutes to handle those. We do have 7 funds, so we can pick up a new book. And then work, we're going to go back to church. So in this case, we'll use reason. I'm going to talk to them about locksmith, and we don't have any fervor, so we'll just carry on with that. So you'll notice, by the way, that we've successfully evaded the Suppression Bureau. There's no way that this notoriety can affect us now. So we'll have to digest a whole bunch of Mystique. I may want to use some more. Passion. Excuse me. I may want to use some more passion to get rid of the staleness. But in general, we're in a better spot as far as our various risks. There are more windows in my soul, but sunlight is not the only thing that passes through a window. So, as was our intention, we're going to study with the 3 lessons learned. Now, one thing that is important for me to keep in mind before I make the final decision, I've got 96 seconds left on this erudition, so it's going to take me a minute to bring my imagination up. That's fine. Again, one of the reasons why passion is quite helpful here is we've been taking advantage of our trips to the Mansis quite often, and our passion is also how we get more recruits. So having a nice little reserve of passion kicking around to get us what we need is good. However, it's also worth saying that our most reliable way of generating fervor has usually been to talk about knock. Not always. Obviously, we've got a little bit more lore, and we'll wind up getting even more later. But for the time being, being able to more reliably generate that fervor is potentially going to earn us a little bit more money as time goes by. And of course, money is going to mean that we can get more books to raise our lore levels. So for the time being, I'm going to leave the explore verb on its own. We've got the 5 funds, and right now I'm trying to I'm trying to work with my day job. I will speak to their souls, and if I speak with precision, their souls may answer me. We do have a restlessness, so I am going to paint. But obviously with the passion when I can. We may actually wind up generating a fascination out of what I plan on doing, but that's not the worst thing that could happen to me. I'm going to try the well again. Okay, vitality is not bad. We may try and use that to level up our health. Exercise, or something rarer, has invigorated me. The well in the wood is sacred to the grail, the hour that hungers, and to the velvet, the hour that guards secrets. Tonight, as I approached, it heaved with the velvet's moths, struggling waves of deep and vibrant green, pulsing again and again from its throat. It surged round my calves, rose to my thighs, and this morning I still feel the velvet's breath strong within me. So I think the likelihood of me being able to use this vitality is a bit lower, because not only am I going to be combining this erudition, I'm going to be trying to generate some more. But, never say never. We may find an opportunity. Again, I don't see a lot of value in not taking advantage of the extra passion that we have, so we'll go back to the woods. And looks like we do have an exaltation. Sometimes my words and those I have borrowed move my congregation beyond mere concentration to exaltation. You've opened the door of this place, and I have passed through to stand before you now. But this is my promise. A time will come when I shall open, and you shall pass through me to stand in a higher place than this. So I don't have access to reason right now. I could try a passion sermon with Grail, so let's do that. We'll add the fervor. The congregation is already in a state of excitement. Any secret knowledge will almost certainly drive them to exaltation. So of course we've already got an exaltation going, but it doesn't hurt to have more than one. I also have some money for another purchase, I suppose, so we can go back to Moreland's, to our library. Oh, but I neglected my restlessness, so I think there's going to be consequences for that. Yep, I got so absorbed in the exaltation, and this is not edge. However, turning it into dread will make it edge, so I'll be able to use the talk verb. So I don't see a lot of value in talking about an occult scrap right now, just so that I can bring someone into the cult. It wasn't intentional, but the fact that I am the Church of the Bright Edge gives me an opportunity to correct that error. In another time, I would have been a seer or a heretic. So I've got a fevered imagination now. Still have 2 staleness, so let's try and get rid of that. And yeah, we'll wait a couple things out. Although I should be working with this erudition first, so we'll exercise the mind. I'll probably just have to generate this the old-fashioned way. Congregation has donated generously, and they haven't limited those donations to the collection plate. Okay, talk verb is being kept open for the restlessness. I know I've said that a couple of times, but I just need to verbally remind myself. So we will take the Church of the Bright Edge. Let's bring in Pope Clifton, and we'll add the dread here. So if this is not clear as to why I'm able to do this recruitment, basically it's easy to kind of assume, because the first way that you usually do this is with lore, that you always need lore for a conversion. Generally, the recipes will require a certain amount of a given aspect. And this is true in most cases. So this is actually the way that rituals work as well. In the game, there are a couple of books that very specifically state what the recipes are. And these are very dogmatic writers who will say, you know, you have to use this item and that item. And they talk about what heretics that other group is for doing it the wrong way around. Well, I'll point out that book when we get to it in the playthrough. But in practice, what you actually need are certain... how you achieve it is sort of up to you. What you need is the components, not necessarily... Sorry, what you need are the aspects, not necessarily the individual components. So all conquest occurs at the edge. One who dwells here, there is blind and cannot be wounded. Another is strong and grows stronger. So in this particular case here, even though we don't have edgelore, we are able to bring Clifton in because dread has edge. Dread, in addition to being sort of a malady, or in this case, aspect induces despair and ill health, but because it also is an edge influence, we are able to use it as in a recruitment. We could also use it inside of rituals, but in this case here, bringing Pope Clifton in is our goal. All right, another volume of Traveling at Night. We can afford another book, so we'll pick that up. This is mostly just a chance to pick up secret histories. And another exaltation. Last their fervor is spent. What have they made of this night? Fervor and lore together will almost always cause exaltation, but it will use up the fervor. So more funds. We still have the passion, so let's keep working with the red secret. I'll speak to their souls, and if I speak with conviction, their souls may answer me. So again, the exaltation is a way that you can generate notoriety. The priest is not guaranteed. So if you think of working at Glover and Glover or the Institute, it's actually, you sort of decide when you generate notoriety in a lot of cases. That's sort of true for the priest, but the thing is that if you want to make progress as the priest, you do actually take certain actions to potentially generate notoriety. And it makes sense, right? Like, what's happened is you are this kind of disgraced priest who's been sent off, and you find a congregation that's sort of been waiting for someone who's had this secret knowledge. And in this situation here, if word gets out, that's not necessarily going to reflect very well on you. And so, I'm Harold Davidson. I'm doing my best to kind of cover up what's going on. But there's always people who don't understand. And in this particular case here, I've got a lot of mystique to keep me protected, but it's not just me. It's not just under my control in terms of whether or not I'm going to be found out, which I kind of like in terms of the priest. I think it's a neat little tension. If you want to make the progress, you're sort of risking something of yourself, whereas technically at Glover and Glover, you can just become really, really smart, and you sort of outthink your way through the troubles at Glover and Glover. Maybe once you get rid of Mr. Alden. Mr. Alden's probably the really tough part on that. But even then, there's a viable strategy where you just don't have ambition, and you just find money through other means. Anyways, we will grab the occult scrap here. I walked in the woods last night, and the scissors worked in the distance, and furred things crammed my mouth and swarmed my ears, and I felt the old urge to drop to wolf forts and nose amongst the roots. But I remember that I walk upright by day, and I know fire and steel and words. And at last I had found where the velvet had concealed a secret on tree bark beneath moss. I read it, and then with the tips of my fingers, and I think now that I can write it in full. Okay, Season of Vision's coming up. I know we're close to the end of our time, so I do kind of want to make sure that I'm leaving everything in a decent enough shape for the next broadcast. What am I really waiting for, I suppose? Actually, now's not a terrible time to leave it. We're picking up another book from Moorlands. We're exercising the mind, but we don't have another erudition for the time being. One thing I can try and do is... Actually, first thing I should do is read the Locksmith's Dream Light Through the Keyhole. I do at some point want to try and tackle this staleness, so I suppose once I get another erudition I can just sort of keep studying that, or... I don't really have any lantern followers to paint, at least not until Clifton comes in. Yeah, so tell you what, let's just wait till the end of Clifton's induction, and then we can call it a night. Alright, before they speak the words, the novice must sharpen a knife, so it can separate a drifting thread, and it be not sharp enough, it will be the worse for them. Now Clifton improvises new prayers rich with solar metaphors. He still shouts like a sailor and shouts like a soldier and drinks like a sailor. So we have got our first recruit, a fellow priest. We'll move Sylvia. Here's what we'll do. Like I said, I'm going to need to kind of work out exactly how my ordering works, but for now, Enid and Pope Clifton will be the two that I keep in line. But, as always, thank you very much for watching. I'm really looking forward to sharing the priest with you. Like I said, I do rather enjoy this this DLC, and we'll go into detail in terms of some of the aspects of it that I like. I am trying to remember how I wind up getting a desire. That's probably going to require a little effort on my part. But I do have some ideas in terms of some of the things that I'm going to need to do with the church, and we're approaching a place where I'm going to need to do that. The biggest thing, though, is there's a couple of other traits that I'd like to boost up, and, you know, just little simple things like picking up some books. But until then, thank you very much for watching. As always, feel free to leave your comments, particularly along the lines of whether or not the shorter but more frequent episodes are working for you. Again, I'm trying to find out for myself whether or not it's sustainable, but I've always valued both being able to interact with all of you, as well as just kind of hearing some feedback about how it's going. I do try to take it on board, although I know I'm not always as quick in doing that as I'd like to be. Until next one, have a good one, and see you again.